Petoskey Plastics first began recycling in 1978 and hasn't stopped thinking green since. Each year, we recycle more than 30 million pounds of plastic film through our closed-loop recycling programs. But we don't want to stop there. By partnering with Petoskey Plastics to recycle plastic film, you can significantly reduce your carbon footprint and help the environment. Here's how our closed-loop recycling program works. Plastic that would normally end up in the landfill is baled and sent to our recycling facility in Hartford City, Indiana. Upon arrival, bales are checked for contaminants that might affect quality of the recycled polyethylene. Once the bale checks out, it's on to the bale buster to break it apart. Plastic travels down a conveyor belt, which sifts out any contaminants that may have been inside the bale. Plastic materials are then fed into a grinder, creating small flakes. The flakes many times will contain contaminants like paper, hard plastic, and aluminum. Thus, multiple steps are taken to remove them. Flakes are first washed, allowing contaminants to sink and separate from the plastic. After being heated and dried, the flakes are then melted and pushed through a laser filter, which removes any remaining non-plastic contaminants. The runoff from the filter, called drool, is sold for recycling into engineered lumber products. The last step in the process allows the resin to run through a sifting machine, which removes the cooling water and allows for quality checks. The end result is green PE recycled resin pellets. These resin pellets, made from recycled plastic, are extruded into our unique multi-layer process, encapsulating the green PE in the core layer of our finished products. Our film structure provides superior flexibility to maximize strength and performance while incorporating a high percentage of recycled materials, resulting in not only a quality product, but also a reduction in carbon footprint by keeping plastics out of the waste stream. Customers participating with Petoskey Plastics in our closed-loop recycling program receive a free sustainability scorecard. This industry-first scorecard shows real data on their environmental impact, converting CO2 impact measurement into tangible EPA factors, such as barrels of oil not consumed and miles not driven. The scorecard gives them the advantage of evaluating the impact of their sustainability efforts in ways their customers, investors, and employees can understand. At Petoskey Plastics, we take sustainability seriously. We are an environmentally focused film, bag, and resin manufacturer providing superior products and solutions. Partner with us for real results and take a step towards reducing your carbon footprint. To learn more about our closed-loop recycling programs, visit our website at petoskeyplastics.com or give us a call at 231-347-2602.
I come into contact with plastics quite frequently throughout a day. From the moment I wake up, I use plastics, brushing my teeth with a plastic toothbrush and toothpaste squeezed out of a tube, made from either plastic number 4, aluminum, or plastic aluminum composite. The materials that comprise my toothbrush and toothpaste tube are easiest to recycle locally. Each morning, I take a multi-use water bottle to school. Multi-use water bottles are made from variations of polyethylene: high-density polyethylene, HDPE, low-density polyethylene, LDPE, copolyester, or propylene. All offer the advantage of being durable, lightweight, dishwasher safe, and BPA free. The main difference between each type of water bottle is the flexibility of the material. Each morning, when I pack my lunch, I place the food in Glad or Ziploc recyclable plastic bags or containers. For example, if I were to make a cream cheese sandwich, I make sure the plastic container is recyclable. which in this case it is. After finishing my homemade sandwiches and Chick-fil-A sandwich, I make sure to recycle both in the nearest plastic and paper recycling bins at my school. I also use a plastic Starbucks cup and paper bag that is recyclable. Lastly, I poured orange juice out of a plastic carton container that is most likely made from PETE, or polyethylene terephthalate, which is also recyclable. In my household, we use plastic or reusable paper bags to hold trash or to carry other accessories. That way, they are not being wasted and being put to good use. You may be wondering how plastics are made. Plastics are derived from natural organic materials such as cellulose, coal, natural gas, salt, and of course, crude oil. Crude oil is a complex mixture of thousands of compounds and needs to be processed before it can be used. The production of plastics begins with the distillation of crude oil in an oil refinery. This separates the heavy crude oil into groups of lighter components called fractions. Each fraction is a mixture of hydrocarbon chains, chemical compounds made up of carbon and hydrogen, which differ in terms of the size and structure of their molecules. One of these fractions, naphtha, is the crucial compound for the production of plastics. What processes are used to make plastics? Well, there are two main processes involved in the production of plastics: polymerization and polycondensation. Both of these require specific catalysts. In a polymerization reactor, monomers such as ethylene and propylene are linked together to form long polymer chains. Each polymer has its own properties, structure, and size depending on the various types of basic monomers used. What kind of plastics are there? There are many different types of plastics, and they can be grouped into two main polymer families: thermoplastics, which soften on heating and then harden again on cooling, and thermosets, which never soften once they have been molded. How long does it take for plastics to break down? Plastic waste is one of many types of wastes that take too long to decompose. Normally, plastic items can take up to 1,000 years to decompose in landfills, but plastic bags that we use in our everyday life take 10 to 1,000 years to decompose, while plastic bottles can take up to 450 years. For reference, train tickets take 2 weeks to decompose, orange peels take 6 months, milk cartons take 5 years, tin cans take 50 years, and batteries take up to 100 years to decompose. Increasing waste volume is a major concern for mankind. The best way to deal with this problem is to avoid products that generate waste materials that take more than a year to decompose in landfills through a proactive design for recycling. How is plastic refuse affecting the world? On one hand, opponents of plastic grocery bag bans argue that plastic bags are harmful to the environment. They don't easily decompose in landfills, while many eventually end up on the beach or in the ocean, where they are implicated in such situations as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. One article suggests that 7 million tons of trash enter the oceans every year. In the same article, 41% of oceanic trash is observed to be plastic. On the other hand, the supporters of plastic shopping bag use say that banning plastic bags is environmentally and financially nearsighted, with alternatives being more devastating.
Can you recall the amount of plastics you use in a single day? and how you come into contact with it.
I come into contact with plastics quite frequently throughout a day. From the moment I wake up, I use plastics. Brushing my teeth with a plastic toothbrush and toothpaste squeezed out of a tube made from either plastic number 4, aluminum, or plastic aluminum composite. The materials that comprise my toothbrush and toothpaste tube are easiest to recycle locally. I also used a plastic Starbucks cup and paper bag that is recyclable. Each morning, I take a multi-use water bottle to school. Multi-use water bottles are made from variations of polyethylene, high-density polyethylene, HDPE, low-density polyethylene, LDPE, copolyester, or propylene. All offer the advantage of being durable, lightweight, dishwasher safe, and BPA free. The main difference between each type of water bottle is the flexibility of the material. Also, when I pack my lunch, I place my food in a Glad or Ziploc recyclable plastic bag or container. For example, if I were to make a cream cheese sandwich, I make sure the plastic container is recyclable, which fortunately it is. After finishing my homemade sandwiches and Chick-fil-A sandwich, I make sure to recycle both in the nearest plastic and paper recycling bins at my school. Lastly, I poured orange juice out of a plastic carton container that was most likely made from PETE or polyethylene terephthalate, PET, which is also recyclable.
Tell me what you know about recycling. Do you think recycling is important and why?
I think recycling is very important because we use and dispose of a large host of products daily. The products that we use, recyclable or not, have to be processed and disposed of, so we must take into consideration how long these products take to decompose. I believe that it would be in our best interest to use biodegradable products and recycle anything if we can, if possible. We only have one Earth, after all, so we ought to take care of it and strive to limit pollution as best as we can.
How are the paper and plastics sorted?
Plastics are sorted using a two-step process. The simplest of plastic recycling processes involve collecting, sorting, shredding, washing, melting, and pelletizing. The actual particular processes vary based on plastic resin or type of plastic product. Most plastic recycling facilities use the following two-step process. Step 1, sorting plastics automatically or with a manual sort to make sure all the contaminants are removed from the plastic waste stream. Step 2 involves melting down plastics directly into a new shape or shredding into flakes, then melting down before being finally processed into granulates.
What happens to the plastic when it gets to the recycling center?
In most cases, a multi-step process is used to produce the materials that make new plastic products. That process usually involves grinding, washing, separating, drying, and regranulating, as well as compounding. Typically, traditional recycling involves only thermoplastic materials. These are materials that can be remelted and reprocessed into new products using injection molding or extrusion. Through traditional recycling, recycled plastics can directly replace new plastic materials, also known as virgin materials, in the production process. When products are manufactured with recycled content, their environmental footprint is significantly reduced. By seeking out and demanding more products made with recycled plastics, consumers can help influence brand owners to choose to use recycled content.
What is the current state of recycling today?
According to Carbon Light CEO Leon Faranick of Riverside, California, he states that globally, 100 billion pounds of PET or polyethylene terephthalate are used in a year. 70 billion pounds go into carpet and clothing. 30 billion pounds goes into packaging. That's a lot of plastic. The good news is that PET plastic can be used again and again, which means that the resources that go into them, mainly crude oil and natural gas, need only be recovered once if it's recycled. And yet, despite the fact that manufacturing bottles from recycled PET use less energy and less water, it is often more expensive than virgin material, especially when oil prices are low.
What is your opinion on plastic grocery bags, and do you think there is an alternative?
I believe that plastic grocery bags are harmful to the environment, given that they don't easily decompose in landfills, while many eventually end up on the beach or the ocean, where they are implicated in such situations as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Furthermore, referencing a study released in 2011 by the Environmental Agency of England, called an evidence life cycle assessment of supermarket carrier bags, they state that a reusable cotton shopping bag must be used at least 173 times before it becomes environmentally friendly as an expendable plastic bag. Moreover, one must also take into consideration the cost of plastic bag jams that result in the damage of recycling equipment. In San Jose, California alone, damage caused by plastic film results in a $1 million loss annually. Lastly, the impact plastic bags have on ocean life. Some 267 species have been adversely affected by plastic marine debris. Plastic bags eventually break down into small fragments. The cost of keeping plastic bag litter out of waterways in the ocean is also an issue. According to the Natural Resources Defense Council, Californians pay $11 per capita each year to keep plastic bags from ending up in oceans as marine pollution. The cost to protect California's waters from waste is around $428 million annually, with about 8 to 25% of this expenditure attributable to plastic bags.
Tell me what you know about what happens to plastic item once you're no longer using it.
In most cases, a multi-step process is used to produce the materials that make new plastic products. That process usually involves grinding, washing, separating, drying, regranulating, and compounding. Typically, traditional recycling involves only thermoplastic materials. These are materials that can be remelted and reprocessed into new products using injection molding or extrusion. Through traditional recycling, recycled plastics can actually replace new plastic materials, also known as virgin materials, in the production process. When products are manufactured with recycled content, their environmental footprint is significantly reduced. By seeking out and demanding more products be made with recycled plastics, consumers can help influence brand owners to use recycled content.
Do you know where the recycling bins are located around GSU's campus?
Yes, I do notice where the recycling bins are placed around GSU's campus. I noticed some in the GSU library on every floor, designated for paper and plastics. There are also some placed on every floor of the Adderholt Learning Center, near the vending machines.